and the fast one. Mom says there's a shortage of school teachers in Big Springs. I figured I would coach swimming and teach government economics. I'm going to miss you when you graduate. Let's not talk about anything depressing right now, JR. Let's just have fun. Meanwhile, Jim and Greg Sanders go to the home of George and Laura Bush in Tanglewood to talk about financial backing for him for governor. 6:30 p.m. At Orlando's restaurant, JR and Dave ran into Bill Holden, and they sit down together. I want to see David Galworthy today. He says I'm on track to graduate next year, Bill said. We also talked about Brad. You know, he thinks that he's brilliant, but he's impolite. It's obvious he's flipped. If I heard what you said about what your friend Kim said about an argument you guys had last year, JR, he's going to be stuck at his father's old actuary business over the summer. I have a big summer internship with the state senator's office in Big Spring. Bill's going to be a speechwriter in Austin. 8 p.m. JR goes to debate practice and was able to win second place. Back in his room, JR listens to a tape of the Blake Carter show at 9:50. The guy who killed Medgar Evers, Byron Della Beckwith, goes to sentencing tomorrow morning. And it's only fair that a certain judge sentence this man to life. "3:30 a.m. Central. Jim wakes up hungover from the previous night's festivities. So he goes over to the kitchen downstairs and asks Matilda, the night servant, to make him some black coffee. He also lights a cigarette. Michael Dobson comes in from his all-night offshore drilling opportunity. You know, you ought to be home with your wife, not going all yellow out on business. What I do is my business. Sandra knows that. And the kids know that. And I love the kids. And they'll soon love me. Maybe you just took a look at that woman that is sleeping in the balcony red room. That's my wife. I have that same attitude, and I almost lost her. You need to wake up. Geez, you sound like my dad. Well, maybe you live. Maybe your dad will save you some heartache. That's what I'm trying to tell my boys and my angel daughter. Foolish old man. You were in second grade when I began wildcatting in the oil fields. Nothing's changed. oil as thick as thieves, but nothing's good as family, boy. 4 a.m. JR puts on his headphones and listens to the radio. The Andrew House Minute is on. I was a college student when Medgar Evers was killed. I was 1 week in summer school. There was a race riot that started on the campus. It was terrible. 4:20 a.m. Dave Smith's truck pulls out in front of Gordon Hall, and JR hops in. Hey, good to see you, JR said. You know, I've been thinking. I'm much rather hanging out with Jennifer Bowers and my jock friends than to ever be more than once a week with Brad. Brad is an egotistical player, Dave said. No sport team would have, except for maybe track and field. I just can't believe him bad-mouthing Kim like that. He's just a blockhead who feels his opinions count as far as what's wrong with this world. Just get me a root beer. At least we can judge before we go on the plane. Dave hands JR a root beer. JR, you've changed. Changed a lot since we roomed together. And the things that you have to understand is that a bird brain like Brad is only holding you back. 5:05 a.m. The swim team boards the plane, getting ready to depart. 6:45 a.m. The Texas Tech Wet Bandits departs. From Lubbock to Houston. JR sits with Brent Clark. 7:05 a.m. Jim realizes that he has a railroad commission meeting, so he has the Chrysler van drop him off at the Rice Student Center. 8 a.m. The swim team plane lands at Houston Hobby, and they immediately catch a Rice University athletic bus to take them to the sports center there. 9 a.m. Jim goes to the Railroad Commission meeting and is surprised that they're talking about the horn toad extinctions, how it handles onshore and offshore oil exploration in Houston. 10 a.m. The swim meet starts. Betsy wanders over from the bleachers to her son's side. Mama, wow! I can't believe you're here, JR said. Your daddy wanted to, but he can't make it. He has a special hearing of the Railroad Commission, Betsy said. I understand. I mean, he's working himself into the power cave. 11:55 a.m. Jim exits the Rice University Student Center feeling let down. The majority of the commission sides with the governor, and so he calls for the rental van to pick him up. 12 p.m. It's time for JR's qualifying heat, and so he heads over to lane 1 to begin. On your mark, get set, the announcer said. As the buzzer goes off, JR swims with all his might. Claude takes the video with Greg Sanders. When he sees JR come in first and sees the gold medal around him, he slaps his hands in his lap and turns to Greg Sanders. I gotta show this to Jim. He's gonna be damn proud of JR. I think Coachman had his way, he'd keep JR forever. After receiving a hug from his mother, he goes over to his teammates. You did it, JR. Maybe next week you can swim against Lubbock Christian University, Brent said. He's already spoken for a debate tomorrow. Tournament against Odessa University College and Lubbock University College, Dave Smith said. 12:05 p.m. JR was hanging out with his teammates when his father approached him. You may have won first place, but you could do better. Tears filled JR's eyes. Man, JR, don't cry, Charlie Nation said. Your father's too macho for his own manhood. You're not exactly helping him, Charlie, Dave said. 12:25 p.m. JR is having lunch in the athletic dining hall with Charlie Nation and Brent Clark. Bet you what you stood with Karen, Charlie said. I don't even want to hear about Karen. She's probably at some Trek convention with Brad right now. Man, those places, that's where the girls at. That's where the frat girls are at. The sorority girls are at. Charlie, will you knock it off? Brent said. Now, JR, you can't compete with your hypermasculine father, and you broken father, and you know that. Yeah, I know, JR said. Just don't forget, we at the team and Spirit Club love you. Man, thanks for your encouragement, Brent. 1:25 p.m. At the Dobson mansion, Betsy and Tim argue. How could you do that to JR? Betsy demanded. Woman, you have no right to demand that of me. I did that to keep his competitive edge. These power games are leaving you cold, Betsy said. I'm taking my things, fishing a cab, and flying back to Midland. Now, y'all please don't start arguing. And don't go, Claude said. Look, I don't care about what the governor said or did or recommended today. Jim will cut back on our oil exploration in Houston. But you need to see this video of your son before you just sit there and pass judgment. (3:25 p.m.) The Texas Tech swim team boards the private jet that would take them from Houston Hobby back to Lubbock. At 3:45, the plane takes off from Houston Hobby heading to Lubbock. 5:40 p.m. JR is back in his dorm room when his phone rings at his bedside. It's Jim Bob Horton. I don't know what it's going to take, but you're going to have to start getting along better with Brad. Please, for the sake of the NFB chapter, JR. Hope you enjoy JR's adventure. If you like what you hear, please subscribe. Become a part of the adventure. Until next time, take care. God bless.